Okay, I'm going to show you how to solve a problem in which you're asked to calculate acceleration. Let's have a look at what acceleration is first. Acceleration basically is how quickly speed changes. Now, if you put that in a formula, acceleration is the change in velocity in a given time. So how much the velocity has changed per second. Now, to calculate it, you need a final velocity, and then you subtract off the start velocity, the initial velocity, and divide it by the time that the change takes place over. If you put it in terms of symbols, and you have to be careful of your symbols, A stands for acceleration, V is final velocity, U is initial velocity, and T we use for time. Okay, so we're going to use this formula to solve the next problem. Okay, so it's asking you, track runner starts out of her blocks and reaches a forward velocity 10 meters per second after 2 seconds. What is her acceleration? Okay, the very first step, and always remember to do this, is to write down the formula. So I'm going to use A equals V minus U over T. And now we put in the numbers. So the final, V is the final velocity. We have 10 meters per second, 10, and you minus the initial, where it says she starts out of her block, so initially she must be going at 0 meters per second, so minus 0, and she does that in 2 seconds. Okay, so basically we have 10 divided by 2 equals 5. And now we need to get the units, and for acceleration it's meters per second squared. A little tip on units. If you're not sure what the units are, have a look at units of things that you've used in your particular calculation. Okay, so you can see in our calculation for acceleration, we've used velocity, which was measured in meters per second, and we've used time, obviously in seconds. So what we've done is we've divided one by the other. So what we've done is divided a meter per second with the velocity, divided that by time in seconds. And this is why we get meters per second, or meters per second squared. So if you're not sure of the units, just have a look at your calculation, okay, and you may know the units of the things you've used in your calculation, and from doing the same thing to them, so in this case dividing, you can actually get to the unit that you need. Okay, it's always a good idea. I always like to see that once you've got to your answer, you double underline it, just makes very clear what your final answer is.